Some tractors break down, others break records. And then there are the legends. Machines so tough, so brutally over-engineered that they refuse to die. We're talking about iron beasts that have plowed for 50, 60, even 70 years on the same engine. Tractors passed down through 3 generations of farmers and still earning their keep every single day. Built when steel meant steel and warranty was a handshake. These are the 10 most indestructible tractors ever built. Let's get into it. Number 10. The Farmall H. We start our countdown with one of the most iconic small tractors in American agricultural history, the Farmall H. Built by International Harvester from 1939 to 1953, the Farmall H became the backbone of countless small and medium-sized farms during World War II and the post-war boom years. Over 390,000 units of the Farmall H rolled off the production line at IH's plant in Rock Island, Illinois, a staggering production run that made it one of the best-selling tractors of its era. The Farmall H was powered by a 4-cylinder gasoline engine, the IHC-152, producing around 24 horsepower. That doesn't sound like much by modern standards, but in 1939, a 24-horsepower row crop tractor was a genuine workhorse. It featured a 5-speed gearbox, a row crop tricycle front end, and that distinctive bright red paint that became synonymous with International Harvester. The simple mechanical design meant any farmer with a wrench and a service manual could keep one running. What makes the Farmall H truly indestructible is its sheer simplicity. There are no computers, no sensors, no plastic parts to fail. The engine is a basic flathead 4-cylinder that can be torn down and rebuilt on a workbench in a weekend. Many Farmall H tractors purchased new in the 1940s are still running today, 80 years later on their original engines, doing the same work they did when Roosevelt was president. Farmers across America have stories of inheriting their grandfather's Farmall H and using it for daily chores without ever touching the engine internals. That's the definition of indestructible. Number 9. The Ford 8N. In July 1947, Ford Motor Company began production of what would become one of the most popular farm tractors of all time in North America, the Ford 8N. By the time production ended in 1952, Ford had built 524,000 units of the 8N. At its peak, Ford was selling about 400 of these tractors every single day. To this day, the 8N remains one of the most common vintage tractors you'll find on small farms, hobby properties, and homesteads across America. The Ford 8N was powered by a 4-cylinder gasoline engine, displacing roughly 2.0 liters or about 120 cubic inches. It produced about 27 PTO horsepower in factory testing. Modest power, but more than enough for the small to medium farms it was designed for. The 8N was the first Ford tractor to feature a 4-speed transmission, and it retained Harry Ferguson's revolutionary 3-point hitch system that the earlier 9N had pioneered in That 3-point hitch design is still used on virtually every modern tractor today. What earned the Ford 8N its legendary reputation for reliability was its straightforward, almost agricultural simplicity. The flathead engine, the manual transmission, the basic hydraulics. There's almost nothing on a Ford 8N that can't be fixed by a mechanically inclined farmer with basic hand tools. Many 8Ns from the late 1940s and early 1950s are still doing daily work today, more than 70 years after they left the Highland Park, Michigan factory. They mow pastures, pull rakes, drag firewood, and tackle hundreds of small farm jobs that would be uneconomical with a modern tractor. The famous saying about the 8N is that it takes a licking and keeps on ticking, and 3/4 of a century of service has proven that saying true. Number 8. The Farmall M. If the Farmall H was the small farmer's workhorse, the Farmall M was the bigger brother that defined American row crop farming for 2 decades. Built by International Harvester from 1939 to 1952, the Farmall M was IH's flagship row crop tractor, and it became one of the most beloved tractors in American history. More than 270,000 Farmall M tractors were built during its production run. The Farmall M was powered by a 4-cylinder gasoline engine, the IHC-288, producing about 36 to 38 horsepower depending on the specific configuration and year. A diesel variant called the Farmall MD was also offered, using a unique starting system where the engine started on gasoline and then switched over to diesel once warmed up. The Super M, which replaced the standard M in 1952, bumped horsepower up considerably and added more refinements. What makes the Farmall M indestructible is the same brutal simplicity that defines all the IH letter series tractors. Cast iron engine blocks, heavy-duty transmissions, massive flywheel masses that smoothed out power delivery and allowed the tractor to lug down to almost stalling without dying. Many Farmall M owners report putting tens of thousands of hours on these machines without ever pulling the cylinder head. Original paint Farmall M's with 80 years of continuous service are not uncommon at antique tractor shows. They're also still working tractors on countless small farms across America, proof that when a machine is built right, it can outlast generations of its owners. Number 7. The Massey Ferguson 1350. In 1964, Massey Ferguson launched what would become one of the most successful utility tractors ever built, the MF135. Production ran in the United States from 1964 to 1975 and continued in the United Kingdom until 1979. A staggering 413,153 units of the MF135 were produced at the Coventry plant alone between 1965 and 1979, making it one of the best-selling utility tractors in history. The most popular engine in the MF135 was the legendary Perkins AD315.1, a 2.5-liter three-cylinder diesel engine that produced 45.5 horsepower at the engine and 38 PTO horsepower. The Perkins three-cylinder diesel is widely considered one of the most reliable small diesel engines ever built. With proper maintenance, meaning oil changes, clean fuel, and reasonable operating procedures, these engines routinely run for 20,000 hours or more without major work. Some operators report Perkins-powered MF135s logging 30,000 hours on the original short block. The MF135 became so universally loved because it combined three things rarely found together in one machine: simple mechanical construction, exceptional reliability, and remarkably low fuel consumption. The three-cylinder Perkins is famously miserly on fuel, and the entire tractor is straightforward enough that any farmer with basic mechanical skills can service it. To this day, the MF135 remains in heavy demand on the second-hand market, particularly in developing countries, because of its bulletproof reliability and the wide availability of parts. More than 50 years after production began, the MF135 is still a daily working tractor on tens of thousands of farms around the world. Number 6. The Farmall 706. In 1963, International Harvester unleashed the Farmall 706, a tractor that helped IH battle back against John Deere's growing dominance in American agriculture. Built at the famous Farmall plant in Rock Island, Illinois, from 1963 to 1967, the 706 was an immediate success. Nearly 47,000 Farmall 706 units were built during that period, plus about 5,500 standard tread international branded 706 tractors. The Farmall 706 came with a choice of 4 engines, 2 gasoline, the IH C263 and C291, and 2 diesels, the IH D282 and the German-built Neos D310. The diesel versions were the favorites among serious farmers, with the D310 in particular earning a Hall of Fame reputation for endurance and fuel efficiency. PTO horsepower ranged from about 72 to 76 horsepower depending on the engine. The 706 also introduced the optional torque amplifier, a hydraulic gear-splitting system that let operators downshift under load without using the clutch. The 706 earned its reputation for indestructibility through pure overbuilt engineering. The cast-iron engine block, heavy-duty drivetrain, and massive final drives were designed to handle continuous heavy field work for decades. Many Farmall 706 tractors built in the mid-1960s are still working today on family farms, 60 years later, handling daily plowing, tillage, and PTO work. Combined with its bigger brother, the 8006, the 706 launched IH into one of the most successful decades in the company's history. And for the farmers who bought them new, those tractors became multi-generational tools that are now being run by the grandchildren of their original purchasers. Number 5. The Ford 5000. When discussing the most reliable tractors of all time, the Ford 5000 comes up again and again. Veteran farmers across America consistently rank the Ford 5000 and the entire 1965 to 1976 Ford 1000 series among the most bulletproof tractors ever built. The phrase repeated on tractor forums by farmers who have spent decades operating these machines is direct. The Ford 5000 may be the best tractor of all time in respect to reliability. Built from 1965 onward, the Ford 5000 was powered by a 4.2-liter four-cylinder diesel engine, producing about 65 horsepower. What made it legendary was the rock-solid 8-speed transmission, the simple mechanical fuel injection, and the bulletproof Ford diesel engine. There are documented cases of Ford 5000 tractors logging more than 20,000 hours on a single chassis with only routine maintenance, and stories of 3 Ford 5000 tachometers in one family, adding up to over 20,000 hours of combined service. The reason the Ford 5000 became so indestructible comes down to what isn't on it. There's no electronic control unit, no sensors, no emissions equipment, no turbocharger to fail. Just a simple mechanical diesel engine, a robust manual transmission, and basic hydraulics, all engineered with thick castings and heavy steel that were built to outlast their operators. Today, decades after production ended, clean Ford 5000s are still in high demand, and they continue to perform daily farm work across the United States, Britain, and Ireland. Number 4. The Farmall 60. Stepping up in size, we come to one of the most legendary big iron tractors ever built in America, the International Harvester Farmall 1066. Introduced in 1971 and built through 1976, the 1066 became the standard bearer for IH's heavy row crop tractor lineup. It was the tractor that thousands of American grain farmers used to bring in the corn and soybean harvests of the 1970s, and many of those exact same tractors are still working today, 50 years later. The Farmall 166 was powered by IH's 414 cubic inch turbocharged 6-cylinder diesel engine, the legendary D414. It produced 125 PTO horsepower in standard form, with significantly more available through aftermarket pump-up modifications that became extremely popular among performance-minded farmers. The 1066 used IH's trusty 4-speed transmission with the torque amplifier, giving it 8 effective forward gears, and it featured a heavy-duty rear axle that could handle massive plowing loads. Veteran farmers consistently report that the IH 90 to 120 horsepower tractors of this era, and specifically non-turbo versions of the same family, have the most longevity. The 806 through 1 Ford 66 size class of IH tractors achieve higher hours than larger turbocharged machines, and many of those non-turbo models are still running today with their original engines untouched. The 1066 itself, even with the turbo, has earned a Hall of Fame reputation for durability. With the right operator and consistent maintenance, a 1066 can easily exceed 15,000 hours of service. This was a tractor built when International Harvester was still in fierce competition with John Deere, and the engineering reflected that competition. They built it to last forever, and 45 years later, many of them still are. Number 3. The John Deere 4020. Coming in at number 3, we have what many farmers and industry experts consider the single most important tractor in modern American agricultural history, the John Deere 4020. Built by John Deere from 1964 to 1972, the 4020 became the most popular tractor of its time, with 159 units produced at the Waterloo, Iowa factory and at John Deere's Mexico facility. It dominated American farms in the late 1960s and early 1970s like no tractor before or since. The John Deere 4020 was offered with 3 engine options: diesel, gasoline, and LPG. But the diesel was overwhelmingly the most popular, accounting for 91% of total production. The diesel engine was a 6-cylinder unit producing 84 drawbar and 91 PTO horsepower. Standard transmission was John Deere's 8-speed synchro range, with an optional power shift transmission that became hugely popular. The 4020 also offered an enclosed cab option with heat and air conditioning, a true luxury for tractors of that era. What earned the John Deere 4020 its legendary indestructibility is the absolute over-engineering of its drivetrain. The 6-cylinder diesel engine, the heavy-duty rear axles with differential lock, the 24-quart cooling system, and the massive 34-gallon fuel tank were all designed for continuous heavy work. There are countless documented examples of John Deere 4020 tractors logging more than 15,000 hours without major repairs. Many farmers who started farming with a 4020 in the 1960s are still using the same tractor today, 60 years later, and they refuse to sell because nothing modern offers the same combination of power, simplicity, and longevity. The 4020 is so durable that clean, well-maintained examples actually appreciate in value as collectors and working farmers seek them out. The 4020 was significant for another reason. It was the tractor that defined an era when American family farming was transitioning to what farmers called agribusiness. The 4020 had the power to pull a disc and a planter in tandem, taking the earliest steps toward minimum tillage farming. It could pull a 5-bottom plow at speeds that no previous tractor could match, and it did all of this while remaining simple enough to be field serviced by the farmer himself. Original list price in 1972 was $10,345, substantial money at the time, but a value that paid for itself many times over across decades of service. Today, 60 years after the first 4020 rolled off the assembly line, this tractor remains an icon of American agriculture and a benchmark by which all other classic tractors are judged. Number 2. The John Deere Ford. If the 4020 was the king of the 1960s, the John Deere 4440 was the king of the 1980s, and arguably the most beloved John Deere tractor ever built. Produced from 1977 to 1982, the 4440 was part of John Deere's Iron Horse Generation 2 lineup, and it earned a reputation as one of the toughest, most reliable, and most refined tractors ever to come out of the Waterloo, Iowa plant. The John Deere 4444 was powered by a 466 cubic inch turbocharged 6-cylinder diesel engine, producing 130 PTO horsepower. It featured John Deere's legendary quad-range transmission, offering 16 forward gears and 6 reverse gears. The Sound Guard cab, introduced on the 30 series and refined on the 40 series, was a genuine breakthrough in operator comfort, providing heat, air conditioning, and dramatically reduced noise levels. For farmers used to open-station tractors, climbing into a 4440 felt like climbing into a sedan. What made the 4440 indestructible was the same over-engineered approach that defined the 4020, but with 2 decades of additional refinement. The cast-iron engine block, the heavy-duty quad-range transmission, and the massive final drives were built to absorb continuous abuse. Documented examples of John Deere 4440 tractors with more than 20,000 hours on the original engine are common. The 4440 became so beloved that even today, more than 40 years after production ended, clean low-hour 4440s sell for $30,000, sometimes more than they cost new. Many farmers who own them refuse to sell, and many who have sold them deeply regret the decision. That's the truest mark of indestructibility, a machine so good its owners won't let it go. The 4440 was the centerpiece of John Deere's Iron Horse marketing campaign in the late 1970s, and the campaign was no exaggeration. The 466 cubic inch turbocharged diesel produced peak torque at remarkably low engine RPM, allowing the tractor to lug down under heavy load without losing power or stalling. Combined with the quad-range transmission's ability to shift between gears under full load, the 4440 could power through conditions that would defeat lighter tractors. The factory 4-wheel drive option available on the 4440 gave it traction capability that bordered on excessive, exactly the way American farmers wanted it. Today, the 4440 has earned a place on virtually every list of the greatest tractors ever made, and for good reason. Number 1. The John Deere 8850. For our number 1 spot, we have the absolute pinnacle of 1980s American tractor engineering. The John Deere 8. This was the largest and most powerful tractor in the world during the early to mid-90s. No other tractor manufacturer could match it in size or strength during its prime years from 1982 to 90. The 8850 represented the absolute peak of what John Deere could build, and farmers from the 1990s still actively seek out used 8850s on the second-hand market because nothing else in its class is as strong or as reliable. The John Deere 8850 was powered by a massive 955 cubic inch V8 turbocharged diesel engine producing 370 horsepower, an absolutely staggering output for the early 1980s. It was a 4-wheel drive articulated tractor weighing more than 36,000 pounds, designed to pull massive tillage equipment across thousands of acres of grain country. The SoundGuard cab provided operator comfort that was almost unbelievable for its era, and the heavy-duty drivetrain was overbuilt to a degree that bordered on absurd. What earns the John Deere 8850 the #1 spot on this list is that it represents the last era of mechanical. No electronics, no emissions, no computer agricultural engineering at the absolute highest level. The 8850 is, as one tractor historian put it, the last of the dinosaurs in the SoundGuard era. Every component on the tractor was designed to be rebuilt, not replaced. The V8 diesel can be torn down and overhauled by a competent diesel mechanic in a farm shop. The transmission can be rebuilt. The hydraulics can be serviced. There are documented 8850s with more than 15,000 hours on the original chassis still pulling massive plows in Nebraska, Iowa, and the Dakotas every year. They are the ultimate workhorses, now collectible workhorses, and their values continue to climb as farmers realize that nothing modern can match what John Deere built in those years. The 8850 was the flagship of John Deere's 50 Series four-wheel drive lineup, sitting above the 8450 and 8750. With its V8 power, articulated four-wheel drive design, and massive operating weight, it could pull 12 bottom plows or 60-foot field cultivators in conditions that would stop lesser tractors cold. The cab was so quiet, so well isolated, that farmers compared it to driving a luxury car. The hydraulic system was capable of running the largest implements in the world at the time. And the John Deere dealer network meant that anywhere in America's grain belt, a farmer with a broken-down 8850 could get parts and service quickly. Every aspect of the 8850 was engineered to a standard that simply doesn't exist in modern agricultural equipment, and that's why it earns the title of the most indestructible tractor ever built. If you've owned one of these legendary tractors, drop a comment below and tell us your story. Which of these did we get right? Which one would you have ranked #1? And which indestructible tractor did we leave off the list? Hit that like button if you enjoyed this countdown, and subscribe for more vintage tractor and farm equipment history. Until next time, keep the diesel running, keep the steel turning, and keep the legacy alive.